I got asked this morning what my opinion is on drinking alcohol when you're trying to create wellness in your body or when you're trying to lose weight. And so I thought, well, obviously that's a big question that comes up a lot for a lot of people. So let's pop this in a video so I'm going to be able to share it more often. So alcohol is a really interesting one. It can be very addictive. It can have an extreme impact on our lives. However, it's not something that I say that people absolutely have to cut out. I'm never an extremist on anything. Like, I never say that you absolutely have to cut something out in any form. However, it is something that I really do encourage people to look at how much they're consuming on a week-to-week basis, and to certainly look at reducing the amount of alcohol you drink and swapping it out. So alcohol is really interesting. If you've heard me speak before on creating wellness or weight loss in your body, the most important organ in your body for that is your liver. And the reason for that is it's your liver that really controls the health of your body, because it is our filter. It cleans out all of the crap. And obviously, there's a lot of different ways that we get toxins coming into our system through the products that we apply to our skin. Our skin is our biggest organ in our body, so when we're applying something direct to it, those toxins are being absorbed. We're breathing it in through the air when we live in a city area like most of us do. There's a lot of toxins just in the air, which is another reason why I encourage people to get out, especially into the mountains and around trees, and just breathe deep that nice pure oxygen. We get toxins through so much of our food, and the biggest one being sugar. It is a toxin, and our body is really challenged when it eats sugar. It doesn't know how to process it. The amount of fructose that we have in our diet is quite extreme compared to what we had 50 or 100 years ago, and we're definitely seeing that reflected in the health of society today. In soft drinks and all those sorts of things, there are just so many toxins, preservatives, and there's so many things that our liver has to work hard to filter out so that our body can remain healthy. And as I've shared before, that when our liver is bogged down, when that filter is clogged up and it's not able to do its job correctly, what it actually does is it just sends the excess off and stores it in a fat cell. And then that fat cell essentially just becomes corrupt because it just locks up. And it goes, I am not going to release the toxins in this fat cell until my liver is capable of handling it. So essentially your body is looking after itself there. It's really caring for itself in doing that, because your liver is overloaded. It's going, well, I can't deal with those toxins, so I'm going to store them away. They're going into storage, and I'll get them out when I'm ready to deal with it. The issue that we're seeing with today's society is that our liver actually never gets to the point where it's ready to deal with the overload. It never actually gets cleansed and cleaned properly. And then we see people doing the 48-hour detoxes and all these other things, and that's actually even more intense on the liver because it's just flooding it with all of these toxins. It can actually do more damage than good. So as you know, I definitely recommend doing cleanses, but minimum of sort of a week or so, and doing a whole food natural cleanse instead of just cutting out and doing it extreme. And I'm more than happy to talk to you guys about how to do that in a really healthy way that promotes wellness in the body, and allows your liver to do what it needs to do. And then once your liver has had that cleanse, it's like you're giving your filter a really good clean, then your body is able to start opening up some of the stored fat in those fat cells and releasing that energy again. And that's also why you feel a little bit yuck when you're detoxing, because literally all those toxins that you've had stored up in those corrupt fat cells are now being released, and they're getting into your blood system and going around. And often people will be doing a cleanse and they just hit that point where it's starting to work, and then they'll get a phone call and say, oh, I stopped because I got a cold. And what's interesting is it probably means it's working, because we release a lot of toxins through mucus, and so we get a runny nose, or we get the sort of mucusy feeling in the back of our throat, and that's our body healing itself and getting rid of those things. So when people are at the perfect point in their cleanse is unfortunately when they misread the signs and unfortunately let it go. So if you're feeling that way, I absolutely guarantee or encourage that you keep going with your cleanse. So if you're looking at that as far as wellness and weight loss goes, when you're adding alcohol into your diet on a daily or multiple times a week sort of routine, then that's a lot of extra added pressure that you're putting onto your liver. And because alcohol, it is a macronutrient, but it absolutely is a toxin. When we consume alcohol, our liver just goes, it gets tunnel vision and it goes, I don't care what else is coming into my system right now, I need to deal with this alcohol because my body needs to get rid of this stuff. I need to get it out. I need to be cleaning it. And so any other food or beverage that you're consuming at the same time as drinking the alcohol just gets pushed straight to the fat cell. Your liver just can't even consider it at that time. It is in complete overwhelm dealing with the toxins and the poison in the alcohol, and that is its entire focus. So where it would normally just sort of filter through everything, when we're consuming alcohol, and if you're having like sweet treats or a cheese platter or something like that, all those extras on top are just going to get stored until later on. And what we often find as well is if you've had a night where you have been drinking, and I certainly find this on the nights when, Craig and I might get to have a date night and we'll go out for dinner, and so we'll have a bottle of wine with dinner and then I'll get to have dessert, and so my body is consuming a lot more toxins than it normally would on a regular basis. When you go to bed that night and then you wake up at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and you're kicking all your blankets off and you've got the hot sweats, or you're feeling really thirsty, or you're just really awake and you're, why am I so awake right now? It's because at that time in the night, that's when your liver is looking after itself and it's giving itself a really good clean, and it's going, I need to get through all this stuff, this big build up. I need to work really hard. So all the energy in your body is getting sent there, and because it's working hard, your body temperature is going up and your body is responding. So quite a few people do find that they have that experience when they are consuming toxins and quite a lot of alcohol like that. So should you be cutting alcohol out when you're trying to lose weight or create wellness in your body? Well, again, that's entirely up to you. How quickly you want to achieve your goals, whatever your goals may be, and how much of a restriction you're willing to put on your own life. So I know that I go through stages in my life where Craig and I will share a bottle of wine on Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night. But then for the rest of the week, I'm really clean. And I know that this winter, I had to sit down a lot, which meant lots of cup of tea because I was really cold. And every time I had a cup of tea, I'd open up the fridge and have a look what was there. So my jeans have got a little bit tighter than they probably should be. And so I know that for myself right now, I'm cutting out alcohol and I'm giving my body that chance to really cleanse. I'm sticking to a mainly plant-based diet to allow my body to go through that cleanse process so that I can ease off on my liver, give it a bit of a break, and allow those stored fat cells to open up. And obviously getting my body back into wellness, and weight loss is just a great side effect of wellness. So entirely up to you. If having a drink on a Friday night with your husband or partner or your workmates is what's going to keep you on your path for every other day of the week, then stick with that. But look at what you're having around it. Look at what type of alcohol you're having. If you are drinking every single day, then I would really love to have a chat to you about that and ways that we could swap it out and other coping strategies that we could work on for you to get through. Because alcohol is such a huge part of Australian society, and there's a lot of people who enjoy it without actually being alcoholics, but there's a lot of people who perhaps could fit into the alcoholic category without even realizing it, because it's just so socially accepted in Australia. And it is something that is a huge thing, and we're seeing it obviously in our younger years, in that sort of late teens, early 20s, and all this binge drinking and things like that. But it isn't necessarily a habit that people are dropping as they age. So yes, we do need to look at alcohol. There's a lot of different ways that you can swap it out. If you have a soda stream at home, then just doing the soda stream in the water and then adding just some nice flavor into that, not like a sugary sort of thing, but there's some nice ways that you can add some lime juice and a bit of stevia, whatever it is, even just some nice fruit into that, having the bubbles of the soda stream water in a nice glass could be equally as satisfying as having a glass of wine. Or there's even those really nice flavoured balsamic vinegars that have got a really nice flavour to them. Having those in soda stream instead of a glass of wine can be a really nice way to sort of swap out and transfer from that alcohol into something else. If it's beers and soft drinks and things like that, then again, we need to look at ways that we can sort of swap that for you. You could go for a very low sugar mineral water with a bit of flavouring in it. They're very nice, and just looking at other ways that we can cut it out. If you're not a cold turkey kind of person, then don't go cold turkey. If you drink every day and you want to sort of get down to maybe just a couple of nights a week, then schedule it out for yourself and have a plan in place. And you know what? We all have bad days. There's always going to be those days where we get to the end of the day and just be like, oh, I am exhausted. I don't know if I can get through the last 3 hours of this day. And that's usually when we're reaching for the bottle of wine and pouring ourselves a glass. But what if instead of that, you went for a walk? Or you just, while you're cooking in the kitchen, you stood there, you just did some squats and some lunges every now and then, just drop down and do a couple of push-ups, get your adrenaline racing, get your endorphins happening. You probably find you get a much better effect from the endorphins of moving your body and exercising than the alcohol would ever give you. And then you don't obviously get the after effects of that as well. So doing something positive for your body instead of having that alcohol can be a really good thing to do. So it is something that you have to really look at on an individual basis. And it's not a terrible thing in our lives. Like a glass of red wine with dinner every night is not the worst thing that you're going to do to yourself. There are actually health benefits to doing that, but you need to understand what that alcohol is doing when it's entering your system. So you're not actually going to gain more weight through the alcohol, but what that alcohol causes to happen in your body means that you are going to store more energy and fat in that way, if that makes sense. And, you know, it does have its own calories, so you can drop back on consuming those calories. But I'm not one to say hard and fast you have to give up alcohol in order to create wellness or weight loss in your body. But if you are wanting to do that, if you are wanting to create wellness, and if the experience you're wanting to have of that, the side effect is weight loss, then I strongly encourage you to look at how much alcohol you're consuming, how and when you're consuming it, what you're having it with, and different ways that you could swap it out. Do you really need it? And asking yourself that question, why do I want to have it, is a really powerful question, and only you are going to be able to answer that one yourself. So it's a really interesting question. I prefer to work one-on-one with people on that one, but so you get an idea of what happens when alcohol enters your body, how that can affect the way you're storing fat is hopefully I've been able to help and enlighten you a little bit there. Obviously, if you can swap it out for something else, then go for it. If if exercise isn't your thing, maybe doing a meditation or having a cup of tea instead, or even if you want to have that glass of wine, pour yourself a big glass of water, drink your water, and then just wait for like 4 or 5 minutes and just like let yourself just be in that moment. It might actually pass. So I hope that's helped. This is me rattling off my my alcohol thoughts there, but I will chat to you again soon. Bye.